Hey, folks, welcome back to Chris Wyatt Reports, Chris Wyatt Africa. On the Rugby Ascendant segment, once again, it's legendary Springbok and rugby star, as well as commentator, and wow, he's done all kinds of things. It's Naas Botha once again. Naas, how you doing this evening?
Now we're all fine, eh? We just had a quick, nice Afrikaans chat on Super Rugby regarding the weekend's rugby, so that was quite nice. I had Victor Matfield in studio with me, and Freek Burger, ex-referee, and Swayze the Brain, ex-Lions coach. So we had actually quite a nice debate regarding all the aspects over the weekend.
Oh, that's not fair. Now, you've prepared for this. I'm just going cold from coming from the game. Wait, let me ask you, was that live or is that recorded for later?
That's live. That was live.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. So everybody's already seen this.
Yeah, normally with SuperSport, it's live.
That's what I thought. I didn't know if this was like for a halftime segment or something like that. Okay, excellent. All right, so let's get started. Let's start with the game we want to talk about the most here. And, of course, one of the topics we'll talk about is Monty Lubeck, but I also want to talk about Kurtley Arnze, of course. But let's get into – before we do that, though, I got to say this. I've interviewed Victor Matfield, and when I was in Pretoria in January or February, one of my viewers asked Victor to meet with me, and we met at Linwood Bridge. And I'm tall, Naas, but that dude is so tall. I look like a dwarf next to Victor Matfield. He is so tall. It must be nice to be sitting at the table so he's not lording over everybody, eh?
Yeah, but it's nice that as a backline player, you can always look after the forwards. They believe they're looking after us, but it's not really true. We look after them. They need to go and do the donkey work, and we will just use the smartness to finish the job, So, but he's good value for money, and he was an absolute phenomenal second rower. Played over in 100 internationals for South Africa. Absolute amazing. Absolute.
No, absolutely brilliant player. Really was amazing to watch Victor Matfield. And I really loved how Henneke Meyer brought him back out of retirement to play in the 2015 World Cup. That was incredible. It's a shame we didn't win the World Cup, but that's the story for another day. All right, so last night, Marseille. We'll talk about the other games afterwards. Let's start talking about this. Springboks, Scotland. What are your thoughts? What are your first impressions from that game?
I thought that in general, it's like a first game of a World Cup. You believe that, whatever is coming from the other side is going to be 100%, and that's what Scotland did put on the table. I thought at the end, South Africa did extremely well. There's one or two things that, maybe we could have mauled a little bit more. Maybe we could have done that. But it doesn't matter. It's a World Cup. All you need to do is win your games. And that's the thing. And yes, there are games where you're going to get your bonus point. Scotland was always going to be a little bit of a difficult one. But as I said to you before, and I said it on the weekend, a couple of people asked me, and I thought, okay, 15 plus points. At the end, it was 15 points. But it's not about the points against a team like Scotland. It's about the win, and that's what they did. I thought we scrummed quite well. Lineouts worked nicely. There's a couple of backline moves that worked fine. No silly penalties, put it that way. And that's what you expected from South Africa. The thing is, you play against a team, Scotland, that I believe they went into that game. They believed that they could beat the Boks. And then you walk away with, I think, in general, a good win overall. And if you think about it, Scotland really put their bodies on the line. I thought their forwards actually played quite well, to be honest. The disappointment for me was the way Van Russell played that fly-off. I expected a lot more. I expected a lot of magic coming from fly-off. I felt at some stages he's doing something absolutely brilliant, and then a couple of silly things. He tried the grabber with like 4 guys in front of him. He tried the pop pass going to nobody. Little things like that, and that's a team that I believe relied heavily on him to perform magic, and unfortunately for Scotland, that never happened.
Well, I have to wonder with Finn Russell. I mean, he took a lot of hits out there on that pitch. I mean, he was pretty dinged up. I wonder if that had an impact on his decision making during the game. I mean, he really looked. He was. I don't know if at one stage it looked like he might have had a broken rib. Obviously, he doesn't. But he was down on the pitch several times after contact, and he obviously put his body on the line. But it sounds like the decisions didn't really work out well for Scotland that he was taking.
Yeah, the knock that he took, it was totally unnecessary, because there was already a knock on. That was the first mistake. He could have avoided contact. He went into Arendse, with more like no arms trying to make a tackle, a little bit of a shoulder charge, and maybe he tried to milk a little bit the situation, that he thought he might have been in trouble because of a no arm scenario. But maybe that shake him a little bit in his boots. But in general, the most important thing is, Chris, what you look at. It's not a normal game. It's a World Cup game. You're in a scenario, especially in that pool. If you can get a win, you've got to take the win. And I want to say, then smart play is definitely on the table. And I really thought, as I mentioned to you a little bit earlier, I thought the forwards really did a good job. But I don't think their backs actually assisted their forwards to finishing the job. I never really got the feeling that they were going to surprise South Africa. Never really got that feeling, to be honest. And I think that's why I say at the end, and I like a little bit of the box attitude. Listen, we got the win, not the bonus point, but we got the win, and let's move on. So now it's Scotland Ireland that needs to go and fight it out, because we still have Ireland on the 23rd. But it doesn't matter. At the end, it's going to come down to the Scotland-Ireland game. So we've done what we had to do, and that's what I think we appreciate. You don't look at a World Cup and think there is like a series. There's another game. There's another 2 games. There's nothing like that. It's each game, get it out of the way. They did that. And now we've got Romania on the weekend. And I would like to say, Ireland, showed us the way how you should play Romania. Go and get a nice big score, built on whatever you built against Scotland. Go and get a good score and move to the next game.
No, absolutely. I think that's a good argument to make for all of that. But, it's the 2 tries. I would say that we'll talk about them in succession. The 2 tries, I think, were very impressive from the Springboks. The one was the build-up, the offloads across the pitch. They build up, and then Pieter-Steph du Toit goes across. Brilliant try. He had lots of help there. I think Mostart was in on that. Goes across, it's clearly a try. And then, of course, let's talk about that one. But then we'll come back afterwards and talk about the Monty Libbok no-look Kurtley Arendse try. But let's talk about this Pieter-Steph du Toit one. I thought was very impressive. It was good to see the former World Rugby Player of the Year. It looks like he's back now. I mean, I was a little concerned when he first came back. He looked a little tentative. Understandable. It was a serious injury. Took a long time to rehab. But now he seems to be all on. He's all in, and I really liked his game yesterday.
Absolutely. I thought he really played a great game. I thought in general, that's a little bit different than we played in 2019. Started using the forwards, but to get the forwards to start running at the backs of the opposition, not the one pass scenario where you play the first channel the whole time, because I think, people sort of started realizing that's what we like to do. One pass, then there's 3 defenders waiting. One pass, another 3 defenders waiting. Yes, you say, yeah, but, you eliminated the defenders, but still, the second, third, fourth channel are actually the channels that you should look to attack. What was nice about that try is they hit the forwards again, and then they put Peter Steff on the backline player. And that's always going to be tough for the backline player to stop him there. And that was really a well-worked try. We had the discussion in studio tonight. Maybe once or twice we should have looked for the touch instead of trying the penalty, especially the long penalty of about 57 meters. That's, and that's where I think kickers should go before the game, sort out their distance that they're very comfortable with, taking the penalty kicks. And if you feel you're a little bit outside your range, then you just tell the captain, let's go for touch. I also understand sometimes the mentality, let's get just the scoreboard ticking over the whole time. So that's also important. And that's why I say, you can't find fault by them trying to do the kick, put it that way. But maybe that was a little bit out of his range. And if we did... See, the thing is, Manie Libbok's one of the few fly-offs that can take the ball, kick to touch, and get it on the 5-meter line. And with the way the Boks play, and they get the line out, you're hardly going to stop them 5 meters from your goal line. What I don't appreciate, and that's luckily Manie excluded now, is where fly-offs get the penalty on the opposition's 10-meter, and then they kick it out on the 22-meter. There's absolutely no advantage there. You've got to, it's a little bit like gridiron. You've got to get the hang time. In gridiron, you're talking hang time. In rugby, you've got to get the meters. You've got to get it out 5 meters from the goal line. Otherwise, there's absolutely no advantage. To go and have a line out on somebody's 22, Chris, means there's no pressure on that opposition team. Okay. And that's where, Manie is one of the few guys that do get it right. And that's why we had a little bit the debate regarding that. But we also felt first game, get points on the board, get the game done, get the win, and move forward. And I think that's what South Africa did.
No, I agree 100%. So let's talk the second try. Manie Libbok. Okay, let me build up before you respond. Manie Libbok, you're on record talking to me saying, don't worry about Manie because he's got his game together. He'll get the kicks through. But more importantly, he knows where to place the ball. He distributes it well. And I agree with you 100%. I'm a big Manie fan. Of course, I'm a Stormers and Province fan. But he did miss 3 kicks in this game, and then they turned it over to Faf. But Manie must have nerves of steel or ice in his veins because that did not bother him. That was a no-look. I didn't know it was no-look, because I'm sitting at the other end of the pitch, and I'm watching it from behind unfold way in front of me, like 60 meters in front of me, 50 meters in front of me. And so I don't know that it's a no-look pass. I just see the pass come off his boot, and I'm like, oh, look at Kirtley. It's going to go right to him. And it's like it was launched perfectly to him, right in stride. It couldn't have been better. You couldn't have put it on a cord and shipped it over that way. It was absolutely perfect. When I saw the replay, watching the highlights, and I saw that it was a no-look kick, Naas, you've got to appreciate that was an unbelievable try. What do you say?
Absolutely. That's just feel. You've got to feel it. And I think Manie is one of the few fly-offs that can feel it. Okay. But you've got to question the defense of Scotland there. You can't really leave that amount of space on the outside without covering it, Chris. Let's be fair now. Okay. That it really worked out well for South Africa. Absolutely brilliant. Okay. But, I would not like to see South Africa leave that much space against a team like France or against a team like Ireland or New Zealand, because they will definitely capitalize on that. That was a defense blunder, if I can put it that way, from Scotland, but fantastic play by Manie. The thing that I did pick up on the weekend, and there's a number of kickers doing that. They're trying to milk the clock. And I don't know why they're doing that, Chris. Because that's creating time for little devils to creep into your mind, if I can put it that way. Don't do that. And I've seen, I think, on 2 kicks, Manie actually looking at the clock, if I am correct, okay? I'm not in the stadium, so I can't say, but he's definitely looking away from the kick as such, okay? So I can only imagine somebody told him, hey, take your time. You've got 60 or 80 seconds to take the kick. Use the 80 seconds. It's humid, it's hot. It gives the guys a little breather and whatever. But the thing is, it might take away the 100% concentration that you need to have as a kicker when you do a goal kick. And I think, if that is something like that, the best advice will be forget the clock, get the ball over, put it down, get your normal thinking going, okay, and get the ball through the goalpost. In a game like Scotland, it didn't really matter. In a quarterfinal, semi-final, final, it is going to play a major, major role, and you don't want to see that. So all I'm trying to say is, doesn't matter how he's going about his business, I still believe we don't need to ask questions about his goal kicking, because in general, if you think about it, in general, a number of the place kickers actually struggled a little bit.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about that. You're spot on. There was a lot of people struggling with their kicking this weekend. Monty's kicking on the pitch, not at the post necessarily, but on the pitch, was better than anybody this weekend.
Absolutely. So that's why I say, don't rock the boat, if I can put it that way. Don't scratch if there's nothing that's itchy. Okay, just leave it. I thought the first kick was there. It's a little bit like, let's get one over, let's get it done, let him settle and let him play. And I think that's the thing that I appreciate. Sometimes you need to think, okay, just give a little bit of confidence. And I think, like you say, in general, he had an absolute fantastic game. The 57-meter, I would say that's a little bit of 70-30. If you hit it and it's over, it's fine. If you don't get it over, it's fine. Okay. But the one that he pulled slightly to the left, I thought that was one that
got away from him.
Yeah, he was busy with other things in his mind. And the best advice is leave him. He's more than capable. Don't make an issue about it. Game's done and dusted, and move on to the next one.
Yeah, no, 57 meters, that's Franz Stain territory there, or Naas Botha territory.
and I can recall in 2003, I was working for SuperSport, and I went on a trip with the Boks to Australia and New Zealand in the Tri-Nation or Four-Nation, Tri-Nation, I think at that stage, okay? And I said to Louis Kuhn, I said, on the Friday, work out what's your maximum range. And then, when you're in the game, you don't need to think about it. You say to the captain, listen, out of my range. And I think because it felt for me in the first weekend of games, the ball actually traveled quite easily distance. Yeah. And I somewhere Mane felt, okay, let's give it a try. Nothing wrong with that. But at that stage, if they did decide to go for touch, it would have still been a good call. And I think at the end, if you miss, okay, you're still going to get the ball back in any case, because nobody is going to, against South Africa, run from their own goal line unless they're extremely confident. So what are you going to get? 99% the kick back, and you're going to get the ball in any case. So it was a little bit of, let's see, didn't work on that one. But the one kick, I felt, out of the three, there's one kick that I felt he didn't strike that well.
All right, one final thought about the Springboks, and not that game, but the upcoming game before we talk about Japan and then about Wales and Fiji, or as they say here in France, Pays Gall. But the Springboks coming up against Romania. Lots of talk about people who are not on the coaching staff about rotating players through. We've got an injury concern here now with Eben Etzebeth. I don't know if it was announced. Maybe you guys have heard something, but I hadn't seen an update. No updates. Okay, yeah. So they're keeping it close to the vest, and I heard 7 to 10 days he's out, and that's bad news, but not the end of the world. But I mean, we want Eben in there. So there's been some people suggesting, of course, they're Monday morning quarterbacks. You know that phrase from America, Monday morning quarterbacks, suggesting that they rotate players. So I noticed that Dion Faree was not on the roster for this game. Players like that. Do you think that we'll see? I imagine we'll see a little bit different lineup for this. Maybe change up that front row a little bit for the Romania game.
Yeah, I think we might get a couple of changes. Nothing wrong with that. But I also a great believer in keeping momentum. Look at Ireland. Ireland said, listen, if we want, Chris, if you want to win the World Cup, you have to beat everybody in any case. Doesn't matter who you use. At the end, you play South Africa. Now, if they decide these 15 guys will represent us on the weekend playing Romania, then that, for me, on the day, that's the 15 best guys. That's how simple it is. There's nothing like we're really going to rotate and we're going to keep everybody happy. That's nonsense. You're in a World Cup scenario. If you win it, you've got, it's a little bit like Brady, You've got 7 rings. Nobody can ever take it away. They can take a lot of other things away, but they can't do that. And that's the thing about a World Cup. You're there to win it. I think Ireland proved that, hey, get stuck in, boys. And I think that's the attitude South Africa should have on the weekend. Let's get stuck in. Doesn't matter who they select. Let's get stuck in the game against Romania. Let's go and get some proper rugby behind us. Go and get a good score behind us. Don't leave question marks, especially after a game like that. And we've seen in the past that one year, we struggled, against Spain, I think. No. Was it? No, is it Uruguay or somebody? Years ago, in one World Cup, we just played sort of a so-so game. And I think teams are different lately. They all trained well. The nice surprise for me was, and I think I did mention it to you, the way Chile played. I thought they were very, very well organized. And that's what we should be. Doesn't matter who plays. You represent your country on that given day. You're one of the 15 best players representing your country, and go and give it to Romania. Doesn't matter how, but go and give it in a proper way.
Well, in fact, you just touched on a topic we're going to shift to now, and that's quickly. We'll get into the Chile and Japan game, and then the nightcap that came after that, which is Wales and Fiji. I would say that Japan, whom we've been a little concerned about how they've been shaky post-COVID, they did what they needed to do, and they had some really great moments in that game. But I'm with you, Naas. Now, I did say that Chile is a team that could surprise with maybe an upset in this World Cup. I've watched them play. They've gone from a team that used to get beat 92-0, 78-6, to a team that's credible. And they took the lead in this game, and they held their own in the first half. And I think that Chile's game plan, their execution was excellent in this game. And I suspect you feel the same way based on your comment a moment ago. But what are your thoughts on the Japan-Chile game?
Oh, I just enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. And I must say, I take my hat off for the team from Chile. I thought constructively they played a nice, proper rugby game. I think it was a good game to watch. Japan, they were always going to beat Chile. We all expected it. But I must say, I was really surprised for a newcomer to actually showcase, I want to say, a decent, proper rugby game. They didn't shy away from anything. They were very well organized. You can see to put it in simple rugby terms, I thought they were very well coached, and in general they're a nice surprise. We expected Japan to get through the game, get the win. They did. They did play well at certain stages. I think we must, and you there and see, we're not. You must take the humidity and the heat. You have to take that in consideration, because we've seen balls, and we spoke about that. Just as soon as the contact comes, the ball pops out. We see some silly passes. We see the ball slipping out of the hands, and little things like that. So hopefully, but we spoke to Skalberger tonight, and he believes it's going to be like that. And maybe you can assist me here. It sounds like the next 3 weeks is going to be the same weather. So we know that for the next 3 weeks, we're going to have indifferent, I want to say, skill levels, because of the wetness of the ball, maybe protecting the ball a little bit more, going in to contact, making sure that if you pass, it's a decent pass, little things like that. But I thought in general, Japan showed, don't just write them off. Don't write them off. They can still come back and surprise one or two teams. I wouldn't just put them, past Japan and say, they're just there to, maybe one surprise. And I don't think they that bad. I think they showed a little bit of class during that game, because, as I mentioned, I thought Chile was very well organized, and I thought Chile actually kept them busy, and kept them busy for 80 minutes.
Yeah, on the weather, Naas, yeah, unfortunately, it looks like it's going to be this miserably hot and humid for 3 weeks. I suppose the only good aspect of that is that means that we'll hopefully see the humidity drop and or the temperature around the time we get to the knockout stage, so that at least we'll see good rugby then. Because, you see players that don't give up the ball on contact, it just squirts out. It's like popping right out. I mean, it's having an impact on the game. And I got to tell you, this is the first time today that I haven't been dripping wet, sweating. I'm sitting in Toulon. I was in Marseille this morning, and it was just so brutally hot. So you can imagine what it's for the players. But last night, I got to say, in Marseille on the pitch, it wasn't that bad, because the pitch was in the shade for a few hours before they played. And so it cooled down in there for the players. It wasn't like St. Etienne was the other day for Italy and Namibia. That was brutal. So, I definitely believe that's the case. And as I said before, you and I talked the first time we talked for the preview, Chile, in my view, earned their spot. They beat the Eagles. They earned their spot. They beat Canada. They earned their spot. And they proved it. They went out there and proved it. Frankly, that performance by Chile is better than any performance by Canada in the last World Cup. That's my view. And it was better than all but the USA's performance against France, which was really good for about 58 minutes when they played France, and then it just kind of fell apart for them in the 2019 World Cup. So Chile is the number 2 for Americas, is really representing America as well, and I'm really impressed with them. Japan did what they needed to. All right, let's talk about the last one, and we'll wrap up here. It's late for both of us. And that, of course, was Fiji and Wales. I said that Fiji could beat Wales, and Naas, I would have been right, was it, if we're not for one bad pass after the hooter, or Guy, once again, not seeing an open wing down the right-hand side, and they went up, in a ruck. He could have scored that try, and then with a conversion, they would have won the game. But anyway, I'm just saying, I said Fiji can beat Wales, and it almost happened.
Chris, I totally agree with your remarks, but I would like to put it, I want to come in with a different angle.
Okay.
Fiji played on a regular basis against a team like South Africa, a team like New Zealand, a team like England, a team like France, a team like Scotland, name them. They would have walked away with a win last night.
Yep, agreed.
The mistakes were made because of a little bit of international inexperience. They
100%.
really played well. Give him credit. But if you play more, you are going to get more accustomed to certain situations. You're going to read games differently. And unfortunately, they're not playing at that level on a regular basis for the experience to come through, because what they needed last night to get through that game was a little bit more international experience, and we would have had a nice win for Fiji. Can't take anything away from Wales. I thought that for where they were and what they accomplished last night, I thought that was well done to Wales. Okay, but as you say, just a little bit of better decision making, smart decision making, a little bit under pressure, make sure the pass goes to the player that's receiving the ball. I think Fiji could have walked away with a win. So I'm coming out of that angle, and I think that's a nice angle to actually look at it, because I think Fiji really, really tried. They see at some stages, I felt, especially at that level, Chris, they just played a little too much. I know it sounds weird, okay? But I just felt that. And I think if they, on a regular basis, same as Samoa, same as Tonga, same as Japan, same as America, same as Canada, if they on a regular basis play against these top international teams, they will get smarter. The decision making will be better. And that's what I think. That's what World Rugby needs to do after this World Cup. They need to say, listen, we need to start making sure we're a little bit more inclusive with these teams that I've just talked about.
100% there, Naas. I agree with you. Once again, there's not much space between where we're agreeing tonight on all these things. You know, it did show a bit of greenness there at the end, but I mean, it was there. Oh my gosh. And you could just see it. Of course, we're watching on TV. I'm like, that's right. And he didn't. And then they go into ruck. And I'm like, okay, don't turn it over. Don't knock it on. And they do it through phases. And then he's wide open on that wing. Wales left that wing open, and he skipped the pass to him. And that poor guy out there, he probably feels like, you know, the GOAT, not the greatest of all time, but the GOAT, the other kind of GOAT. And it's not his fault. That ball was poorly thrown to him, you know, and it's a tough spot. But again, if they just had more experience, but I think Wales did what they needed to do. We could say that. They needed a win here. They did. And Fiji has put that pool on notice. If people weren't taking them seriously. Now, one thing I got to say about Fiji, Naas, is that, you know, I watch a lot of sevens. I've been a lot of sevens tournaments, and watching Fiji in the sevens tournaments is brutal, because their forwards, they roll over people like a steamroller, the kind that flattens the coal tar on the highway. I mean, and listen, Wales may have won that game, but they were bloody last night. They're going to be a lot of sore hips and a lot of shoulders, and guys waking up, taking some Vicodin or some ibuprofen or some, I don't know, some paracetamol today, because they were bloodied by Fiji.
Yeah, but it's nice the way you put it, okay? Because whoever thought that Samoa, Tonga, Fiji is there, yes, we might get one or two surprises, and that's it. I think they showed last night that you need to take it serious. Otherwise, you might get a big surprise. And I think that's the nice way of looking at it. Yes, Wales did get the win, okay, but if you take Fiji, and I'll tell you now, you're going to see the same coming from Samoa. Maybe not the same of Tonga. Who knows? They might even surprise us. But I'm just saying, it's like you say, you're going to feel the next day you had a tough game, because they're going to run straight at you. You're not going to be able to shy away. You've got to stand your man. You've got to look after your channel in the defense, because you know they're coming. And if they get 2 or 3 guys involved in a tackle, they're suddenly 14 against 12. And with their skill level, as we all know, they can surprise. And I must say, I really enjoyed the way they played. I really, really enjoyed the way Fiji played. And the most important thing for me is they really improved. And, you know, yes, their players are playing all over the world. We spoke about that. They're playing at a different level. They're getting used to playing at a higher level. And that's what we need. Because, Chris, let's be honest, we had the first weekend, not a lot to complain about. The only thing that was the only aspect that stood out for me on the weekend was Curry's red card. That was an absolute joke. Okay, we spoke about that. It was an absolute rugby joke. Okay, apart from that, there's not a lot that we can complain about. Yes, the humidity played a part. The heat played a part. Even Namibia, give them credit. First half, I thought they actually played well. Second half, you could see the heat's getting to them, and you know, you're talking amateurs against, you know, professionals and this and that. But I think in general, if we look back at the first weekend, it was a great weekend. The team that we didn't know where they were, because after what happened to against South Africa, was New Zealand. And I think they still have some questions to answer. If you look at their game against France, they're not they definitely not the New Zealand of old. That's one. Jordan 3 times running, you know, he looks at the ball, but you can't say I'm looking at the ball and then run underneath the guy and, you know, and half take him out. You can't do that according to the law. That's not allowed on the up and under. So that's a discipline aspect. But the thing is, you've got to go to a player like that and say, hey, my friend, if you're not going to fix this, you can't play. Seriously, you can't play because you're going to cost me games. And those little things, that's about the 2 aspects that really stood out for me over the first weekend. But I think in general, if we look at it, I thought we had quite a good first weekend of rugby by all the teams in general.
Well, I agree 100%, Naas. It was a great weekend, a way to get it started, and the Springboks come at it with a win. That's what we wanted to see. And there are questions, but I think Wales answered a few questions. Australia definitely answered a few questions, and England, I don't know if they answered questions, but they did what they had to do. So first weekend's over. Next game is Thursday at France. I guess maybe we'll talk Friday morning and do an assessment of that. So thanks a lot for your time, Naas. Any final thoughts?
No, just like I just said, I'm looking forward to the second weekend. Because it doesn't matter. World Cup's a different ball game. It's not a league. It's not next week. Okay? So everybody got a little bit of dust off their jerseys. Okay? Yes, there's some teams that still needs to play. But, you know, at least we know first weekend, luckily, so far, no serious major injuries. Okay? And hopefully that will keep going. I must say, in general, not a lot to complain about refereeing either. That was quite good. The only one is the bunker guy. We don't know who's the guy sitting or who's the guy sitting in the bunker, who's going to make those calls, because I believe nobody knows who they are, I believe they're not at the stadiums. They in a neutral venue, so the crowd or whatever can't influence their decision. But I still think it was an awful call, the Curry red card, and I wouldn't be too surprised if that is tomorrow's decision that's actually a yellow card, to be honest. But I think in general, let's be fair to everybody, all the refs, all the players, all the coaches. I think we had a first weekend of good rugby. Something to say. Now we can look forward to the second weekend. Yes, there's some teams going to play their first games, but at least we've got the World Cup going now.
Well, there you have it, folks. From one, the only, the legend, Naas Botha. It was fantastic once again to chat with you, Naas. My next game will be this weekend. It'll be, I think, Samoa and Chile in Bordeaux. And on Sunday, I'll be in Bordeaux for the Springboks game against Romania. But we'll talk before then, probably Friday morning after the France game, and do a wrap up on that. Thank you so much. Bye-bye, Donkey. And we'll see you later in the week.
Okay, thanks, Chris. See you later.